Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome to our continuing adventure into Kingdom of Fear by Hunter S. Thompson. So without further ado, let's kick this bad boy off.
Eric was driving, so I had to get out of the back seat and go over and grab Max, saying, "Fuck this, we don't need any cigarettes." I meant we didn't need any fights.
Yes, and that is, a lot of times, it just takes one big mouth to just screw over everyone else.
So I got back in the car and we drove off. That's all it was. But they got our license plate number and reported it.
And the thing is back in that time period, that was, you had to write the number down, finish what you were doing, go to a phone, call the cops, and yeah, that was an effort. It isn't like now where you can just break open your cell phone and go. This was, they don't piss somebody off.
And, cops. A rape charge.
Yes, that sounds like police officers.
God might forgive you, but I won't.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of people I know that have a law enforcement background.
My probation officer knew it was wrong, he said later, in late-night chats with my mother, who was by then chief librarian at the Louisville Public Library and stocking my books on her shelves.
That would be weird, I guess. Being a librarian and stocking your own child's books and stuff, that they've become popular enough that their books are something you're putting on shelves. It's kind of weird and kind of cool all at the same time.
Success was a joyous surprise to her, but she feared for the grievous effect it was having on my old nemesis, Mr. Dotson. He often stopped by our house for coffee, and he desperately begged her forgiveness for all the trouble he'd caused her.
And that was kind of weird. Or maybe just an old person trying to get into heaven.
She forgave him in time, but I didn't. I will spit on his memory forever. The last of many letters I got from him carried a postmark from the Kentucky State Prison at Eddyville. I was not even curious enough to read it and find out if he was a convict or merely a guard.
Yeah, that's usually for a police officer to retire and become a correction officer means they got screwed on their pension, which most municipalities are good about screwing over the people that dedicated their life to protecting the community. Or he got caught doing something with somebody he wasn't supposed to be doing.
I had other lessons to learn. My continuing education in the nature of the criminal justice system was picking up speed. I remember juvenile court judge Joel saying, "Well, Hunter, you've made my life a nightmare for 4 years. You've been in and out of this court, you've mocked it, and now you're going to get away from me. This is my last chance at you, so now I remand you to the county jail for 60 days. Now,
yeah, the wrong 60 days, I guess.
That was their last shot. But it was a total outrage. I became good friends with the victims, and they said the same thing. But this was Mr. Dotson and Judge Joe, and what they did was cause a huge rallying of support behind me. I would never have gone into their jail, except that minors couldn't make bail in Kentucky back then.
That's interesting. Every time I've read that, I've always found that fascinating. What would they do? Afraid that they were going to run off or skip school or something? I didn't know.
The only reason I got out in 30 days was because my 18th birthday came in 30 days, so they couldn't hold me.
Oopsie.
I could make bail. They didn't try to hold me. They had made their point. Last shot. That, and a group of powerful citizens and civic leaders had worked to get me out. But I was a hero while I was in jail. They decided they'd call me the President. And on my birthday, hit the bricks, they said. My boy, hit the bricks. It became a cause. And I was a hero there for a while.
And that happens sometimes in communities where somebody is semi-popular, then gets railroaded on something minor, and then becomes a bit of a mythological hero for a while in the community.
Many wild and desperate years have whirled through my life since my one and only experience as a certified victim of the law enforcement process.
I like how he uses the term victim of the law enforcement process.
The lesson I learned from those 30 days in jail was never to go back there again. Period. It was not necessary.
Yes, I agree. And there's a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of time for stuff that could be rehab or probation.
My jail mates had called me the President, and beautiful girls came to visit me on Thursday afternoons, but I had better sense than to feel any pride about it. The late Pablo Escobar, former kingpin of the powerful Medellin cocaine cartel in Colombia, once observed that the difference between being a criminal and being an outlaw is that an outlaw has a following, which
is a pretty good way of looking at it.
he did for a while, for his willingness to share his huge profits with the working class poor of his city. He was a homeboy, a generous friend of the people.
Which is kind of what Al Capone did in a lot during the Depression. He spent a lot of his ill-gotten money taking care of the poor and stuff, which kind of made him a hero in Chicago.
His only real crime, they said, was that the product his business produced was seen as a dangerous menace by the ruling police and military establishments of the U.S. and a few other countries that were known to be slaves and toadies of U.S. economic interests.
And that is a very, very valid assessment.
When I got out of jail, in fact, I went immediately to work for the rest of the summer for Almond Cook, the Chevrolet dealer in town. I'm not sure what I thought I was going to do that fall. Maybe go to the UK. I didn't know. But I was in no mood really to take...
See, and this was in a particular point in American history where being in any kind of working class, middle class, lower middle class, middle class, upper middle class, didn't matter. If you were in that middle class, you had the money to do stuff like get up and just go to the UK or go to Canada or go to France or whatever. And now, especially over the last 50 years, there's been this war and this onslaught on the middle class that it's hard for anybody that's not wealthy to travel like that.
Pick up anything conventional. Mr. Cook was the father of one of my longtime girlfriends, and I was given a job driving a brand new Chevrolet truck, delivering parts around town. It was a wonderful job. I'd just take things all over town, driving constantly. Sort of a very large version of those bicycle messengers in New York.
Yeah, we have the Napa truck here where I'm at, and they usually hire some for the Napa truck delivery person. They usually have some fairly young college girl, very buxom, very willing to wear almost nothing. It just shows you how things have changed since when Thompson was in high school, or graduating from high school, I should say.
but in a brand new fucking V8 truck. I got very good with the truck. I was driving all the time, and it was wonderful, like being given a rocket. And I had no trouble and got to be such a good driver that something was bound to happen.
As it always does.
The numbers were getting bad. Then, one Saturday morning, a very bright, very sunny day, I was speeding down an alley behind some kind of a car repair emporium on 2nd Street. I'd gone down this particular alley many times, and had gotten to the point where I could put this huge V8 Chevy pickup through a burning hoop without it being touched, at 60 or 70 miles an hour.
Which is not speeds I've ever found myself wanting to drive. I either want to drive the speed limit or close to 100 miles an hour. And there's a road that that most people that live out in the country where I'm at travel, and sometimes during the day when everyone's at work, me being retired, I've been coming back from town or coming back from the store or just driving, and I'll blow down that road at 125 miles an hour. But 99% of the time I'm doing speed limit or a little bit below, usually 2 or 3 miles below the speed limit, just because. Make up for all the times that I drive really super fast.
I remember coming down that alley. It was bright. I could see it was all bricks on either side, and here was this big truck, say 1.5 tons, like a big Ryder delivery truck, only blue or green. And it had one of those tailgates that hangs down on chains, made of pointed lead or hard steel.
And we are going to go ahead and call this good here. Just kind of have a cliffhanger type in, find out what happens to the truck. So, until next time, everybody, be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.